Alright, what's up, yins guys? I want to say another video here. Yeah, what gets me in everything you're seeing anymore on TV, a lot of us laugh at it because we're, in a sense, immune to the bullshit. And when you're immune to the bullshit, or even make a different joke than somebody else, instead of laughing with you, everybody else laughs with each other when they see this. You think this is funny, and somebody else don't think this is funny. And even people even get pissed off and get passive aggressive. But it's kind of funny. In a band that I listened to in my younger days, which I still listen to now, called Suicidal Tendencies, which they practically tell you what's going on. A band with a name like Suicidal Tendencies, which still love the band. Black gentleman with a Pittsburgh Pirates hat on guitar. They say more truths than anything I ever seen compared to today's damn music. And one of my favorite sayings on one of my favorite statements in one of their songs. Who you calling crazy? You wouldn't know what crazy was if Charles Manson was eating Fruit Loops on your front porch. But anyway, one of the things that they said in one of their songs is truth right in front of people's face. A band like Suicidal Tendencies, they'll say truths that are right in front of people's noses that they don't want to believe. The one song, seeing on my TV, whether you start to cry. They're fucking with me subliminally. They're fucking with me subliminally. And they are. Everything that they force down our throats on these TVs, I can go on and on. I'd never dream of when I was younger and listened to the band, and I'd watch the world change before my eyes. Everything that's on YouTube, everything that's on fucking television. The things that they call mental illness now, the people that were once back in 80s or when I was a small kid, certain things now I can list now too, that it used to be textbook. In the textbooks that they used to say was a mental illness, now they're normalizing it. Now anybody else, they're turning it on their heads now. They're changing the fucking textbooks. People are becoming these professors. I mean, it's being dictated from the top down. They can rewrite the textbooks that tell you that you have a mental problem. Now they're changing it. Now all this is normal and saying you're the one that's crazy. Now everybody now is pretty much, you just want to say whatever floats your boat, live and let live, and be tolerant of whatever the hell people believes or whatever they are or what gender they identify as. Yeah, shit makes me damn laugh. Yeah, you don't even threaten to harm anybody because that's against the law for what they are. Yeah, you're tolerant, but yet at the same time, that ain't good enough. You see the passive aggression in this world, and people give you these dirty-ass looks because, this tolerance isn't good enough. You're fucking, in so many words, required to have a mental problem. They have all over the fucking TV. Do they want antidepressant doesn't work? They had that bouncing, that stupid. You feel like throwing a brick at the fucking TV. A normal person usually right now feels like throwing a fucking brick at the TV, and they'll say you have a mental problem because they had that bouncing cloud with a face about depression. Zoloft. They're changing the fucking names. It's all Greek to me. Now they're saying, oh, you need this one drug. Now, if your antidepressant doesn't work, now if you can take this other drug on top of this other one. And meanwhile, I seen a website called Citizens Commission on Human Rights, which I didn't know it was Scientology, but I still stand by a site like that. I'm not even a Scientologist. You see all this other shit, these documentaries about the leader of Scientology. I don't want to go into and go off the subject. I mean, they don't even know where that guy's cult leader's wife just mysteriously vanished. And nobody's investigating or doing anything about it. But anyway, I didn't even know that was Scientology, the Citizens Commission on Human Rights. They tell fucking truth, though. War vets that were taking all these antidepressants on top of each other was causing suicides. And they have the vaping commercials now, which is on MTV, talking lab rat. Hey, they're experimenting on you like a lab rat. But yeah, they're all these people with their antidepressants. You know what? You're supposed to be you're considered insensitive, even if you imply that there's another way, or you don't criticize them. You don't even act like you're against it, but you're too proud of yourself for not needing any of that shit, or going a different way. Or if you imply if you even as much as apply that it's actually possible to overcome something and do something a different way and walk with a cocky look on your face, you said reject that shit, you're considered insensitive and a mean person, and it hurts people's feelings and all that. And even if you try to say something a little bit at a time, and they're fucking with you subliminally. They're advertising. They're telling you you're practically required to have some kind of habit, either vape, smoke, legalize marijuana now, jump on the bandwagon. You don't care if somebody else does it. You believe in it to a point. If it helps somebody's seizures and different things, fine. Or even the non-narcotic extracts from it, they want to sell you that. If you go a different damn way and don't need any of that, if you want to be a cheap ass with your money, because I said in other videos that they're raising the price of everything, raising taxes, raise minimum wage a little bit, and they keep raising shit up. Like I said in my stories when I had my first apartment, you decide to be a cheap ass and don't smoke no cigarettes. You don't need nothing extra. And like in my days when I had a little bit more money, I lived across from a restaurant. The first thing I did is smell food and went across there. Yeah. Oh, and they hate you. You know what I mean too. You get harassed by people next to you at work, on the streets. Anybody's relatives that come out of nowhere and approach you, and they want to sit. And you know what? You're in so many words. They give you drug tests at the fucking jobs you work to and you worked in some of these places. Yeah, they give you a fucking drug test, but yet at the same time, there's the clicks. You're required to buy a minimum of drugs, and if you don't, then all of a sudden you're like the ones that they heckle like a bunch of school kids and say things about, and they know you don't do any of it, and they're mad at you for not doing that stuff, and all of a sudden they're spreading around that, oh, you don't buy somebody's pot or pills, you must be doing meth or doing cocaine, and they say it repeatedly. And especially when they know you had relatives that screwed their life up doing all this other stuff. You got the jealous relatives that want to say that. You disprove them. You know they have you, even though you go. Yeah, I used to go to a restaurant across the street, all the time because my day was shot anyway, and I didn't want to cook. And plus, your whereabouts were known, and what you spend on your money was known. You were in there every day. I mean, well, if you were a person that lived next to a restaurant that was a restaurant and bar, and you had yourself a nice sandwich with a beer next to it, yeah, nothing wrong with that either. You know what I mean? But people will literally believe the lies like a religion because people are jealous. Not just your jealous relatives. You're required to have a mental problem. And you walk around with your head too high with a cocky smirk on your face for every reason. Now it's like, yeah, you might. Oh yeah, if you're not walking with your head down, depressed, like you're beaten, like work your ass off, you'd have to have that joint or that cigarette smoke break. And you walk around with too cocky. Oh yeah, it's like they're teaching the police and. They're actually teaching the police and Homeland Security now. You walk around too proud, any kind of a way. Oh, you must be snorting cocaine. There's no way anybody could be that happy. And then you're into physical fitness instead of antidepressant drugs. You can be flagged as a possible criminal, possible terrorist, or you might be flagged walking around too proud. It's not like I'm even heavily built, but they can be watching you like. Maybe you're the beater-upper for the drug dealers or something. You're walking too proudly, one level. Yeah, they could. Yeah, John Carpenter's They Live. I says in my damn town, there's people that know you. The police ain't bad people, right? To a certain extent, they, like, for example, some of us, no problem with them that you had good experience with the police. I work for charities, they go by and all that. And it's known that you surround yourself with a better class of people trying to do something extra or different, so your whereabouts are known because how the shit's going down. And Hey, police and everybody else, they're teaching now too that you're walking around too proudly. Hey, I have black friends that think this too, and they're trying to throw racism into the deal, so you get involved in certain kind of better things, and have people with other races around you that, kind of are better about humanity and be there working for charity. And there's people that don't fucking like it, you know what I mean? And I personally am not into that Aryan Nations bullshit. I think there's shit starters in every crowd. You work to people of all kind of different races. I work next to people that were Mexican, spoke some Spanish in some of my job assignments. That Aryan Nation shit, and I'm not into that other bullshit because it's like walking on eggshells. You're not allowed to listen to classic R&B and all that. So people try to throw that in the mix, and they'll try to wipe that booger on you. And you see people shooting people now because they're Jews or whatever and all that. Just walking right into somebody, that Las Vegas shooter and all that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's getting too weird. So now, there's some people that are deliberately, I'm a firm believer some terrorists out there could be actually deliberately using radio signals as some kind of weapon, getting these people to go. How come these kids are doing all this? Bryce and all these kids doing all this bullshit now. So now there's a golden opportunity now to persecute, sane, peaceful individuals like you and me. You're not saying just because somebody's a police officer that they're out to get you there bad, because, well, red flag goes off when you usually have decent experiences with them. They're just people that go to work like you and me, right? But if particular people complain that your very presence or walking around too cocky offends them, or that you see something, say something. It's happened to me once. It's not like you're out to give you. I had a couple friends that were actually black that I worked next to. We're talking about this, that had this experience, and they have clean criminal records. I myself was on jury duty. I worked for a charity. I had my hair in my instead of a ponytail, I had my hair all out in a sweater just like this one, with my hair actually not tied, and I got picked for a jury duty years ago. Hey, and I won't mind having that published on my record. They got fucking intel on you these days. It's the 21st century, but yet somebody, even though I'm not anti anybody, but yet, like I said, the police normally don't bother just common people, but all of a sudden somebody somewhere in the shadows is offended, or just you see something, say something, they could weaponize it. Yeah, one day don't know me from Adam, I'm going to buy, I usually carry 4 gallons of milk for exercise, like the kettlebell, instead of looking lazy or looking homeless or something, who needing a thing or needing a car or doing that show. They see that people know and see that you do that, you're buying gallons of milk. You get stopped all of a sudden like it's the fucking invasion of Poland because somebody called them. They say somebody called them. Get the spread eagle and you get frisked or whatever, which you find kind of odd. And then they check your nose for cocaine and say, oh, somebody called and said you were walking around drunk. And walking around drunk is a code nowadays for you offended somebody. So it's not just racial profiling, you're profiled other ways or somebody else is offended. Yeah, it's being taught, by military and a lot of police now. Do you walk around too proudly because it's normalized? Everybody should be on antidepressant meds. Everybody has a mental problem, and everybody's trying to overcome some kind of addiction because the whole plan was fucking laid out. You're one of the sheep, always in need. You always have to be nothing against people that are trying to turn their life around. Yeah, if you imply that at all, too, you can offend the wrong people, hurt their feelings that they're recovering addicts. Even though it's all fucking set up. Nothing against some good people that were recovering addicts. I had a friend that died of that shit, Our governor and all that, once, legalized marijuana, which I think it'd be a train wreck. It makes more people dependent. They want not getting another cash siphon, so now you're going to be required to have anxiety, we're required to be depressed. If you do any kind of a thing too proud of yourself that you're not with the new platform for the new human farming, the new sheep, you could get harassed and all of a sudden and all that. and maybe they'll get away with it one time, once in a blue moon, send particular cops because a particular person behind it, lapdogs for whatever. And they do the surprise searches. They can do that now, and that's how they're catching a lot of people. But all of a sudden, you get the spread eagle. Somebody said that you were, quote, walking around drunk in the middle of the fucking afternoon. That's usually the people in the nightlife that they usually do. You catch them there. So you're fucking targeted. Just somebody lied, and then you're spreading eagles there. They got the license, the badge, guns on their hip, and tasers to pick your license to pick your pockets. And they got their deplorable. They got their, not deplorable. They're deployable warhounds now, which I like animals, but that in the new narco-communist state or the new communist state where they want everybody to have antidepressants and nobody's allowed to walk too cocky and all that, they're teaching people that something could be potential criminal behavior, you could be potential trouble. Because, you're not walking with your head all low, you're not a recovering addict, which that's all fucking set up. And then, you got the people that were imprisoned for a particular time for possession or whatever the hell, and they get something off of their sentence and get credit for being a, what do you call it, they use those for snitches for the police now, but you get some of them that are jealous of you because you never were an addict, and they'll use their little power as a snitch to, they got that hope. But you got jealous relatives, like I said, that I had cousins that ruined their life for that shit. I got jealous relatives that anonymous calls, snitches. They want so badly to find shit on you, then you'll get stopped on the street by police maybe one time here and there. And the whole thing spread eagle. Don't try anything or I'll knock your fucking ass out. So you get this, you'll get these people once in a blue moon, harass peaceful people that, you happen to not be dependent on state-sanctioned, antidepressants. You're not depressed. You're too proud of yourself. Even when you're in lesser financial state, you're just walking around too proudly trying to do something else constructive. And all of a sudden, you'll have people pull over like with a gun on their hip and like threaten you with violence because they got a gun and a badge, and because somebody that has some kind of social power, particular ones, it's not that they're all bad. It's just you get certain ones out there. If a certain type of people say so, they get certain officers that, and yes, they're used to catching people, and usually it's like a day's work. Yes, they're catching certain people, and 8 times out of 10, they're finding something on somebody, and if you are dumb enough to give them any trouble, you can get felony resistance charges, and if they don't have a body cam on them, you have to fight it in court. And then if there's anything that they can say you did specifically or anything and resisted, you don't got money for bail. Your ass could be sitting in there. You could be, sitting in a police station. It's getting to a point where they're turning the tables, changing the definitions, changing the textbook definitions for crime, changing the textbook definitions for mental illness now, at the will of these other people now. And then now you can actually be literally labeled some kind of criminal and get harassed now. And you don't do what somebody else says. They're looking for a reason to throw you in a cage. You don't get with the program. They're going to get somebody somewhere with a gun on their hip to throw you in a cage. Like the people that are normalizing all the thing. Everybody is required to have gender confusion now and want to be another gender, and everybody's required to be depressed. And if you're start setting a bad example for somebody else, that there's other ways to live, even though you don't care about how somebody else lives, you can give a damn. And if you get caught telling somebody there's another way, somebody's going to get offended, and then they want to maybe make new things against the law, you know what I mean, and get you thrown in a cage. They want to get put democratic socialism in as the new platform. Yeah, make you walk on eggshells and all that. And every single person that's, whether it's gender or depressed, or if they're on an antidepressant, everybody wants to be, is required to be sick now. You offend somebody now, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're not with this program. It's like, you know, you could be reliving John Carpenter's They Live. You know, like I said, I had a couple black gentlemen that were really friends that they look at all those YouTubers that were ex-rappers that were, and they were a type of, I think, I didn't ask them completely, but they're a type of, I think, Christian that actually believes all that shit. So me and them were joking about that, you know, and I'm telling my stories, they're telling their stories, and I'm like, wow, I'm working next to these guys, and I'm like, you know, sometimes we could be living John Carpenter's They Live. And since if you got a friend that knows this shit that's another color as you can actually pull the joke off, and we could almost do our own, you know, you don't want to parody it, but create a thing, you know, because I took multimedia in college, and say, put the glasses on, you know, you almost want to take one of your friends of another a race that's that'll go along with it, and then do a choreographed, you know, video, you know, put the glasses on, you know, and kind of joke around a little bit, you know what I mean? Yeah, John Carpenter's They Live. You don't do nothing really wrong. Peaceful person, walk around not minding your own business, and you get these people that they could be looking out the window, they hate you with a passion, you know, they're jealous of you. Repeat around, they can say. Now, yeah, that's another thing too. They do that on YouTube when you're talking about something they don't like, and then online. Out there in the world, you know, if you disagree with a particular thing and snub it, you know, you're not radically flipping out. You're just, all you got to do is be smug like maybe I am, with a smirk on my face, say I disagree with something, but I agree with it this way. You can be just like that, and all of a sudden, now they're teaching people now. They're teaching law enforcement, they're teaching the military, and they're teaching common people, they're teaching people in your church that if you kind of smugly disagree with a thing you're on, it's cocaine. Oh, cocaine. That's crack, it's meth. You got too much energy, it's called physical fitness. Oh, they accept mostly women on there, which they're really cool people, physical fitness, but, you know, that's just, you know, it's not to inspire you to do physical fitness anymore. They let that on there because they want something to gawk at. You know, they don't want women to really be empowered. They don't want you to be empowered. Now physical fitness is a hyperactivity disorder, possibly criminal, possibly terrorist, possible militant. You got too much energy doing something. They say at workplace, probably meth, probably cocaine. Because everybody's taught you're supposed to buy cigarettes, you're supposed to buy marijuana and beer after the workplace. Even though you get drug tests in the workplace, if you don't want that cigarette, that smoke break, you don't want them pills, you don't want to do that, then maybe you're doing something that prepare yourself physically, and even though you're barely keeping up in some fast-paced jobs. Those are the fucking people that say, oh, meth, cocaine, yeah, they love to do that because they're jealous. They say that, and all this shit's fucking engineered, folks. I'm not saying anybody's particular bad because of who they are or because they're law enforcement or everything, but it's actually being taught to law enforcement. It's taught to some of your preachers. Well, there you got a lot of your preachers on TV that say the opposite to a certain point. But now a lot of people in your area, even though you can have your preacher on TV actually saying they're against it, saying this and that, your local preacher, but yet they have another, but that's on the podium that the people that are, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so no matter what they go and say, they say a double talk and backpedal it, you know, now that in so many words, you know what I mean, say one thing and then say another, so you gotta look at that shit too, you know what I mean? They can act like, you know, they're against a particular thing, but there's a thing they say in parentheses too, you know what I mean? But if you got a preacher, for example, in maybe your local church that is diehard, saying there's a better way and against all antidepressants and certain drugs and against certain other things that they're trying to change or alter or expand the textbook mental illness now. You got your local preacher that's against all that shit and is not apologetic, man, they'll shut them down. They'll shut your church down. And I'm a person, I can't even stand most conventional or big religion. Big religions like Big Pharma, but yet there are some people that, you know how you can't stand certain religion or a little bit of everybody's beliefs, but yet you get along with some of them. But you know, the better ones are the ones that don't get harassed. You know, there's some of us out there right now, the Democratic Socialists take over. They find out you're not addicted to something. They find out that you're not always nervous and upset. They find out you don't have anxiety. They found out you don't need meds. Oh, and you don't have a mental problem. Yeah, if you say you don't have a mental problem and you're not addicted to anything, you don't need meds. You don't have no hyperactivity disorder. You don't have anxiety, or you're not always depressed. They're teaching people that you're a criminal now. They're teaching law enforcement that, oh, you're pretty big on yourself there. Oh, that's, you know, you're probably criminally insane that you should be thrown in a cage. They ought to watch out for you. You know what I mean? And you can do all the good you want to. You don't have friends of one or more races, you know, and do something good open in public. But, you know, every once in a while you might get that surprise bullshit that people are trying to pull. You know what I mean? Get stopped by police somewhere and threaten violence or whatever, you know, and have them search you. You know, even though they don't find anything, you know, it's basically a third-party thuggery intimidation tactic, you know what I mean? You will have it happen to you maybe once in a great while in your life. They want to remind you who the sheep is, who the owners are, so you can have a clean, yeah, they'll do the intel on you, they'll ask your ID, they'll check you and everything else. And damn it, you know, no priors? Ain't that a fucking shame, you know what I mean?